What happens when a top 5 draft pick, who was supposed to revolutionize an offense, becomes expendable? The Atlanta Falcons might be about to give us that answer, and it's not the fairy tale ending anyone expected when they selected Kyle Pitts 4th overall just 4 years ago. The writing is on the wall in Atlanta, and it's spelling out a potential departure that could send shockwaves through the NFL. ESPN insider Dan Graziano has dropped a bombshell analysis that should have Falcons fans questioning everything they thought they knew about their franchise's direction, and it centers around the enigmatic tight end who was once hailed as a generational talent. Kyle Pitts is walking into what could be his final season in Atlanta red, and the silence from the front office is deafening. He's playing on his 5th-year option worth $10.878 million. A hefty sum for any player, but particularly steep for someone whose production hasn't matched his draft position pedigree. The Falcons haven't made a single move to extend his contract beyond this season, and in the NFL, silence often speaks louder than any press conference ever could. This isn't just about money, it's about organizational philosophy, and whether Atlanta believes Pitts fits into their long-term vision. When a team spends a top 5 pick on a player, they're usually bending over backwards to make that investment work. The fact that they're not rushing to secure Pitts' future suggests something fundamental has shifted in their evaluation of his role within the offense. Let's face the brutal truth. Kyle Pitts' career trajectory has been anything but what anyone envisioned when he was lighting up college football at Florida. Over 4 NFL seasons, he's averaging just 49 receptions per year with a grand total of 10 touchdown passes. For a player drafted to be a matchup nightmare and red zone weapon, those numbers are jarringly modest. His rookie season tantalized everyone with 68 catches for 1,026 yards, showcasing the explosive potential that made him such a coveted prospect. But here's where the story takes a troubling turn. He's never even reached 700 receiving yards in a season since then. Not even close. Despite playing all 17 games in both 2023 and 2024, Pitts has averaged just 633 yards per season over those 2 campaigns. The injury excuse worked for 2022, but when you're healthy and still producing pedestrian numbers, questions start getting asked in boardrooms and coaching meetings. For a player of Pitts' caliber and draft position, averaging under 40 yards per game simply isn't cutting it in today's pass-heavy NFL. Here's where the plot thickens in a way that should alarm any Pitts supporter. When second receiver Darnell Mooney went down with an injury during training camp, conventional wisdom suggested this would be Pitts' moment to shine. The perfect opportunity for Atlanta to deploy their athletic freak in dual tight end sets, essentially using him as their de facto number 2 receiver. But something unexpected happened instead. Rather than automatically sliding Pitts into that role, the Falcons started giving significant looks to their younger receivers, essentially conducting an open audition for who could fill Mooney's shoes. This isn't just roster management, it's a telling indication of how the coaching staff views Pitts' ceiling and reliability within their offensive system. The fact that Atlanta is actively exploring alternatives rather than automatically elevating their former top 5 pick speaks volumes about their confidence level. When teams start looking elsewhere instead of maximizing their premium investments, it usually signals that a change is coming. Enter second-year quarterback Michael Penix Jr., whose cannon arm could theoretically be the perfect complement to Pitts' athletic gifts. This should be the match made in football heaven, a quarterback with elite arm strength connecting with a tight end who possesses receiver-like speed and agility. On paper, it's the kind of combination that defensive coordinators lose sleep over. But here's the reality check. If Pitts hasn't been able to consistently produce with previous quarterbacks, what makes anyone think a quarterback change will suddenly unlock his potential? Sometimes the issue isn't about who's throwing the ball, it's about the receiver's ability to consistently get open, make contested catches, and develop the kind of chemistry that turns potential into production. Penix Jr. might indeed prove to be Pitt's salvation, but betting an entire offensive philosophy on that possibility is exactly the kind of risk that smart organizations try to avoid. If Atlanta does decide to move Pitts, they're looking at a fascinating market dynamic. On one hand, he's still just 24 years old with undeniable physical tools that had scouts drooling during his college days. Teams love buying low on former high draft picks, especially when they believe a change of scenery might unlock untapped potential. On the flip side, any team trading for Pitts would be inheriting both his production concerns and his contract situation. They'd essentially be gambling that they can succeed where Atlanta has struggled, while also knowing they might need to invest heavily in a long-term extension if things work out. The smart money says that several teams would kick the tires on a Pitts trade, particularly those looking for red zone weapons or matchup advantages. But the return value for Atlanta might not match the lofty expectations that come with trading a former top 5 pick. This potential Pitts situation represents more than just one player's uncertain future. It's a referendum on Atlanta's drafting philosophy and their ability to develop elite talent. If they move on from Pitts, it's essentially admitting that one of their highest-profile draft investments didn't pan out as planned. But there's another way to look at it. Sometimes the smartest organizations know when to cut their losses and redirect resources toward better fits. If Atlanta genuinely believes that Pitts doesn't maximize their offensive potential, moving him before his value deteriorates further might be the most prudent business decision they could make. As we head deeper into the season, every game becomes more crucial in determining Pitts' fate. If those younger receivers continue to flash potential and prove they can contribute meaningfully, it makes trading Pitts increasingly logical. Conversely, if Pitts finally starts living up to his draft position, Atlanta might find themselves in the enviable position of having multiple viable offensive weapons. The trade deadline isn't just a date on the calendar, it's a looming judgment day that will reveal exactly how Atlanta views their investment in Kyle Pitts. Whether he stays or goes will send a clear message about the organization's priorities and their confidence in his ability to be a cornerstone piece moving forward. The NFL has seen plenty of highly drafted players change teams and find success elsewhere. Sometimes all it takes is the right system, the right quarterback, or the right coaching approach to unlock elite potential. But sometimes what you see is simply what you get, regardless of draft position or physical gifts. Kyle Pitts' story in Atlanta might be nearing its final chapter, and whether that ending is triumphant or disappointing could define both his career trajectory and the Falcons' offensive identity for years to come. The only certainty is that this situation bears watching as one of the most intriguing storylines of the season. What do you think? Is Atlanta making a mistake if they trade Pitts, or would moving on be the smart play? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button if this analysis opened your eyes to just how complicated the Pitts situation has become. The NFL never stops surprising us, and this could be one of those moves that looks genius or disastrous depending on which side of the trade you're evaluating.